Hello and welcome to another iWorkinSport live interview. This is the show where we bring accomplished sport business professionals to share with you their experience, their knowledge, tips and advice in order to help you succeed in your career. Today we have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine. It's it is a sad day for sports with the passing of Argentinian legend Diego Maradona yesterday. So big hug to our Argentinian friends all over the world. Well, actually, football fans and sports fans all over the world. But let's get to the show. Well, let me also address the elephant in the room. I guess you guys can see some facial hair here. There is a reason for that. I'm supporting this Movember campaign. I was approached by a very good friend of ours, actually Patrick Casto. He does that every year and has been raising money to raise awareness for campaigns for prostate cancer, for men's health. So if you would like to contribute somehow, check it out. There's a link in the description. So there you go, Patrick. We're doing our part. I hope you're doing very well as well. And to you that are watching, I see that there are already some comments there are some comments already coming in. Yes, you can comment on the mustache as well if you like it. Hit that like button. If you don't, well, you don't have to dislike it. Just say that you don't like in the comments. Let me know if you want me to keep it. Probably I won't. The wife likes it. My mom hates it. But anyway, let's actually get down to business. Now that you're watching, please, as always, leave your comments. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll let Mario know that as well. If this is your first time here in the channel, I should actually introduce myself. Right, my name is João Fugerio. I'm the founder of iWorkinSport. We do a series of events targeting. That's Mario, trying to connect the industry, employers, and talents. And we also promote education and career growth in sport. So if you'd like to have more information about that, don't forget to go to our website later on. Or, of course, you can follow us in our social media channels right there. Pretty much everywhere is / or at iWorkinSport, except at LinkedIn, you need to write company before that. And before we go to our guests, if I may ask you, it would be great if you help us and support the channel. That helps with the algorithm. Hit that like button. If you like this type of content, I recommend you subscribe to that, to our channel. Hit that bell icon as well to get all the notifications. Now, all that part of the introduction done, I'd like to introduce a very, very good friend of mine, Mario Medeiros. He's the Commercial Director at FIVB, the International Volleyball Federation. Has a super interesting story in sport. He actually owned a volleyball team before when he was back in Brazil. He was a volunteer at the World Cup in Germany. That's where we met for the first time. He came later back to Europe to do the AISTS Masters, then went to Rio to work for the Olympic Games, and ended up coming back to Switzerland for the FIVB. So I hope that I covered everything. Oh yes, last thing I need to cover. If there are some people who are here watching that were here last week and you attended the Education Virtual Expo that we did 2 weeks ago. Last week, we were supposed to draw some free tickets for the upcoming virtual job fair. And there was some problem with the system. with technology. We solved that, so we will do that draw at the end of the interview, the end of the show. So stick with us to the end. Now, let me bring in my very good friend, Mario. Mario, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, João. It's a pleasure to speak and see you, and of course, the iWorkinSport community. Good afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on the part of the planet that the fans and our colleagues are from.
Great, Mario. It's a pleasure to have you here. We're almost neighbors. Lausanne is a small city here in Switzerland, so I have the pleasure to see you often. Let me just give you actually a sense. Some people that are watching. We have our friend Caleb from ESPS in Valencia, Yuri in São Paulo. Patrick as well. He's the one who's pushing that Movember campaign. Marco from Serbia. Erica, I think, likes it. The mustache. Marcelo Orquiza sends regards. Devin from Trinidad and Tobago. He likes the mustache as well. Thank you, Devin. And Regina, also watching from Brazil. Mario, so to start actually, this is a career show, so we're very interested in how you developed your career in sports. So maybe tell us about it. I know that you were a high-level swimmer at a young age in Brazil, and then you were a journalist as well, right? Like me. So let us know how you actually went from being a journalist, made that transition to sport. Tell us more about your career, please.
Very well. Thank you, João, for the question. Once again, good evening, afternoon, or morning at the sports community. My career in the sports happened like most of our colleagues like to enjoy. It's because of the passion. I was a swimmer back in Brazil, and I must highlight that you cannot start a career in the sports or any other career if you do not have the proper support. And I cannot start my speech without giving the proper prestige to my family and also to my friends along the road that helped me to push and to strive and to seek the opportunities in Brazil and worldwide. So starting within this landscape, education played a major role to combine with the essence that sports already gives to you. The discipline that sports requires, the enthusiasm that you bring also from your inner energy to everything that you do, and the opportunities that come along. A little bit of luck with the capacity and the skills that you develop along the road also counts. And within my trajectory at the sports world and industry, I would highlight that it always started with a little push from colleagues at the university. And it started also with volleyball. I was studying law at that time, and one of my great friends, he was the head coach of the Brazilian youth volleyball team, came and asked me if I would like to join him on this crusade of putting up together a professional volleyball team. I have never had this idea before. And he came along and asked for this support since I could communicate, I wrote well, I was engaging more people, some of the charisma that it's necessary on the sales front, it's also required. And from there, one thing led to another. Well, that's how it pretty much is started on a simple way of saying.
So when was that? When did you form your volleyball team in Brazil?
The first one was back in 2006, right before I departed for the Germany World Cup, where I volunteered. And everybody keeps asking me the same question about how do you start? And the best way that I can advise to any person is to seek a volunteer opportunity. Within this community, and the friends that you make, and the exposure that you get of the organizational aspects of an event, besides being priceless and a memory to remember, gives you insights of where you would like to be targeting your future developments. The sports world is too big. We can tackle from a commercial standpoint until a media perspective, into events operations, until a simple translation cabin if it's necessary for the for the understanding of the message. So it's important that you identify as well what you like the most, and being a volunteer gives you the opportunity of having little tastes of different functional areas in every event.
Cool. So that's actually one of the questions that I would have had in sort of along the interview. But you already mentioned that about volunteering. So how did that help you when you volunteered for the World Cup in Germany? That's where we met actually for the first time.
Well, in fact, João, this is a quite funny story. And one of the things that I give as a tip is always to think about outside of the box and good storytellings to come along. The World Cup was going to be taking place in Germany, as we all know, back in 2006. I am a proud fan and supporter of a football club in Brazil called Atlético Mineiro. But our rival team from the city, which is called Cruzeiro, had just hired a striker coming from Bayern Munich, and his name was Giovanni Elber. What came to my mind was to tell the organizers and the interviewers that I was a close friend from Giovanni Elber, which was not correct. But it was something that came to my mind to start investigating more and to getting them more excited about my profile. And I had to say that I was a proud supporter of Cruzeiro at that time. And this became quite a story that somehow the media back in my city got acquaintance of. And they brought me actually to meet Giovanni Elber, and where he signed a bunch of Brazilian shirts, and I could bring to all of my bosses at the volunteer center, and of course for the local organizing committee, signed by Giovanni Elber. And funny enough, he was hired at that time, João, to be one of the commentators for ZDF, one of the top leading German channels. And the first match was Brazil and Croatia. They brought Giovanni Elber, and luckily enough, they also invited me to come and to be an interface from the LOC with Giovanni Elber and ZDF, because of this story that started as out of the box with something that wasn't true, but became as a friendship, and we developed from Brazil, leading to the Germany World Cup.
Mario, I think you're the highest profile of volunteer ever, because you're hanging out with celebrities there and taking pictures with Franz Beckenbauer, giving him a shirt as well. And actually, I remember you helping all the FIFA staff actually get into places in Germany, because you speak German as well, and you get to know all the good places to take the right people there. So you were showing your good
That's
skill.
a funny story, João. And one of the cool parts, if you would like to work in sports and something that you can develop yourself, is the ability of trying to connect people and events. If you are able to find within yourself those specific moments where you generate good memories, people first, they do not forget you. Second, they always have a fun time and good memory to think about you and to position yourself. And most of all, gives you personally some quite ride and satisfaction to think about. As you highlighted into this occasion, I remember that we all had a good fun part, one of the FIFA parties with the Black Eyed Peas at that time, that we managed to bring everybody together and introduce the band with some LOC staff at that time from FIFA.
And somehow all the LOC staff was standing on the line, waiting for the time to get in the club, but you already knew the bouncer and you put everybody in before, so around. So yes.
It's
Marcelo,
a fun moment.
Hughes agrees with you. Being a volunteer is a great experience. So he was a volunteer as well. Let me just tell you. So Amir says hi from Stockholm. Mikhail is seeing us from Georgia. Hello, Mikhail. Zain sends greeting from Riga, Latvia. This is very international, Mario. So you're speaking to the whole world. And if you guys are enjoying Mario's stories, hit that like button as well. Jimmy Castillo, a good friend of ours as well, watching from Zurich. Peter in the Netherlands. We have Polat in Turkmenistan. Wow.
That's
Stuart.
That's the beauty of sports, João, and the
That
beauty
is the
of
beauty
the
of sport,
iWorkinSport
indeed.
platform.
And Luca Passarotti in Italy. But Mario, just to give a bit more structure. So you're a volunteer there, and how then that actually helped you with your career. I think you also got to know about masters in sports while you were there, and a few years later you came and you did your masters at AISTS. Tell us a little bit about that and how actually that's put you in the route to go into work for the Olympics in Brazil and then coming back to Switzerland with FIVB.
Well, João, thank you for the question. Becoming a volunteer gave me the different perspective of networking. And throughout this networking at the World Cup in Germany, I got acquaintance with the different masters opportunities in Europe. Not simply AISTS, but the FIFA Masters, which is also a very brilliant education course that people can take advantage to explore the sporting world. From that moment on, I started to get more information about first the landscape, the costs, all of the skills that would be required from myself up front to be entitled to join those type of masters. And I asked myself what I would like to get as an outcome from unregistered enrolling for this opportunity. Beside moving that, I decided to take another opportunity as volunteer into another event, which was the Beijing Olympic Games. And at the Beijing Olympic Games, I had the opportunity of meeting the leadership of AISTS. We had multiple chats. They invited me to come to Lausanne to get more familiarized with the ecosystem and the role that they play within the Olympic capital. And I was, of course, passionate by not simply the speech, but the environment. I would truly recommend people to do an investigation about master's opportunities, the network, the level of people that you meet, the colleagues that you build within this ecosystem, and they always push you for the best of your career. That's how I got there. And then in 2009, I landed back in Switzerland to start my studies at the AISTS, which was a fantastic journey. And it is still up to today because I support the organization with lectures, some teaching and tutoring as well for the newcomers and the new students. And I leave this already open for this channel for everyone to contact if they want to have side moments and share ideas and thoughts or have a tutoring related to sports or commercial perspectives.
Great, Mario. And then to finish up, right after that, you got the job at Rio. How did you ended up there, and then how you came to FIVB?
Well, João, that's an interesting question because it brings me to one of my favorite words, which is called gratitude. And the gratitude that I like to bring here is that I was trying to get in touch with my mentor at that time that I was seeking for more professional advice. His name, and he was also one of your interviewers in the past, Sir Michael Payne. And through you at that time, working at SportCal, you helped me to achieve a contact with Michael Payne, where I had the first interaction. And throughout this first interaction, we managed to build a relationship of exchanging ideas, exchanging professional advising, and we built up a beautiful friendship. And of course, Sir Michael Payne, he guided me through the beginning of my career and still up to today. Every time that I have a professional task or something that I seek advice, I always go first to Sir Michael and, of course, some other colleagues that I have at the sports industry. That's how it pretty much started building. And from there, one thing led to another. You start meeting more people. You get to know more organizing committees of candidate cities or for the Olympic Games. And not simply that, taking one step before, keeping in mind the word volunteering, at the AISTS, the good part about networking at Germany in 2006 for the World Cup is because Germany hosted the AWAF Athletics World Championships back in 2009. And it was the same organizing team from Germany moving to this specific event. Of course that we had the good relationship. And I kindly asked them to secure some spots for myself and my colleagues to serve as volunteers at this specific event, which gave another experience to not simply myself, but to AISTS and all my colleagues. We had a fantastic time. And as I said, one thing led to another.
Okay, so I'm understanding here that it's not always just applying sort of for jobs and I understood that's the connection that you made with Michael. That is, of course, the Olympic movement very well, and the other sort of connections that you did through your volunteers experiences helped you, secure a position in Rio, and then from there you came to FIVB. Is that correct?
Yes, and not simply this, João. Remember, the hard work that you have to put up on yourself, first on the education and some professional background that I could present as well. My role is always related to commercial endeavors. And since I had the history and the track record of securing some sponsorship levels in Brazil for professional teams and volleyball, and I was a proud owner of a former volleyball team too, this gave me some credential to present myself for future positions related to commercial departments.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So let's talk about your role then, the commercial role that you now have at FIVB. Give us a sense of what that is exactly, what sort of the day-to-day. Is it sponsorship mainly, or the types of partnerships? Understand that the commercial parts of broadcasting or media is separate, right? So tell us about your role at FIVB, please.
The most important thing is to keep in mind my opening statement that you don't operate by yourself. At the FIVB, we are a team, and we collaborate with all functional areas. The commercial department needs the support at the FIVB from all of my colleagues and other stakeholders internally, because we built requirements, and out of those requirements, you are capable of scoping and narrowing down what you would like to seek as a sponsorship opportunity. This could be from products and services until the financial investments that are necessary to run sporting events. At the FIVB, my day-by-day roles are pretty much related to commercial connections, sponsorships, supporting on the bidding ecosystems for events, and of course, whenever necessary, to give my perspectives to the TV and business development team related to other affairs. As said, as a proud community and a family that works 360 days a year, non-stop, supporting all 222 national federations that are members and affiliated of the FIVB. It's a very large family that we have to talk about, João.
Well, I know that your job used to require a lot of traveling. You used to be in Asia a lot. You've been helping FIVB to grow in China and other countries of the region there. That, of course, changed a lot. Give us a sense of how the pandemic affected sort of your work, or we can talk about actually sponsorship in general in sports.
Well, I think that the reality is of adjustment. And one thing that everybody came up to senses is that the pandemic helped to enhance and to speed up the technology services and the idea of engagement on a digital ecosystem on a faster pace. This is one thing that gave an additional value for the sponsorship packages that we commercialize not simply at the FIVB, but among all the sporting entities and leagues, federations, clubs, that it's a direct channel that you have with your fan. At least at the FIVB, not having the on-site events jeopardize our sales attitude. This is the same that happened to everybody. We rely on the fans, we rely on the community, we rely on the enthusiasm. Sport by essence needs the goosebumps. It's not simply being attached to a TV screen or a mobile devices following the best highlights of a specific event. People need to feel and to have those senses within you, by vision, by taste, by hearing, by the touch, and all of this combined we missed. We think that at the FIVB gave us also the opportunity to structure new landscapes of commercial packages that we enhanced now participation with national federations. So we have the opportunity of building specific packages, aligning national teams' assets with global packages. So we try to jointly sell this to support our affiliates, national federations, and as well our global audience once the events are back, and also take advantage of the digital ecosystem that all of those teams, they have domestically as well.
Good. Thank you, Mario. There's already some questions coming up. So as I think that normally the questions from the audience are better than my own. I give them preference. Barnabas has been helping us as well here at iWorkinSport in several projects. And I think you touched on it in your last reply, but if you can maybe elaborate a bit more, what are some strategies that helped FIVB grow in Asia? Well, you're talking more about what you've been doing after the pandemic, but what is
I
this
can give
applied to grow in Asia?
I can give a sense going back to 2016, back 17, where we started to enhance our relationship with the Asian market. And taking advantage of that, the first suggestion that I give is to build a consistent calendar of events in the specific region. If you talk about China, normally the local sponsors, the local broadcasters, and the attention of the media and the crowd are going to be related with the national team, not simply with an international event. It's a different landscape, volleyball, if you compare to soccer or football, the traditional language that we have for the European countries. That's what I did. So I started to build at the FIVB, and with the proud support of my top management, from the Secretary General, from the General Director of the FIVB, we started to build a multi-year bidding opportunity, and this brought to China, specifically into this case, a consistent 4-year plan of events. And from there, we started to be more consistent, talking to sponsors, talking to broadcasters, and to build a good strategy of ticketing sales, which led also to merchandising, food and beverage. So a bunch of other functional areas started to fall in with a landscape of a 4-year plan of events taking place in a specific market, which in this case is China.
Good. Thank you. Mario, there are more questions coming up. I think Ricardo Parigi asked, maybe I didn't get that, but Mario, you mentioned about volunteering around the globe for fantastic events. How did you manage the finances of those adventures?
Very well. It's a good question. First, you have to understand the landscape where you're going at, and the needs that you need in order to build your own budget. How much do you have to eat? Where would you like to sleep? If you're planning to purchase something else. All of this is the first exercise that I give to everybody, is narrowing down your personal requirements. My funding came from my current job in Brazil at that time, support also from a family, and the savings that I had. I do not have any regrets of using my savings account in Brazil at that time and spending multiple months living in Germany to experience this first exercise. The second one is related to the master's that I took, which is not a volunteer, but the funding as well. If you're planning to come to Switzerland, it's something that you need to be very well structured and elaborate. So I would suggest everybody to either start saving yesterday, because it's a very expensive country, and to go by your basic needs in order to carry on your length of your stay at each individual event. But save everything that you can. And you will be surprised, because you don't need that much in most of those events. If you are a volunteer, keep in mind, they offer you already health insurance and food. This is already 50% of your major costs. If you take under consideration that you can live in hostels during that specific time, or you can share apartments with others, there goes another perception of you of structuring accommodation. So keeping in mind every single service that the organizing committee and the volunteer position also give to you to facilitate your adjustment at the location where you will serve.
Okay, Mario, Yuri Dominguez liked your strategy of approaching Giovanni Elber before going to Germany, so he's going to do that. He knows a couple of Olympic champions in Brazil, might do the same strategy there. Keep sending your questions. You have the priority. Hit that like button if you're liking Mario's stories. I'm really enjoying it. Mario, what do you think are your skills, if you were to make a self-assessment of yourself, that allowed you to get to where you are in your career?
First, João, is the ability of listening and understanding different cultures. Nowadays, everybody wants to be talking and speaking on a global level, and one thing that I can advise everybody is first learn a little bit about cultures that you think that you will be interacting with. Some of the language skills that is necessary, some of the local traditions that you would like to seek, all of those cultural elements, it's a major push and start for you to engage on a global scale. On a second opportunity is trying to adjust the experience that you have within the local opportunities and the way that those local entities they like to do business. Please keep in mind that everybody is open for new opportunities. They are open to hear your thoughts, but also preserve those thoughts to not be offensive on the way that local communities they like to do business as well. So this is my first observation that I can give to everybody. Understand a little bit about the culture, some of the language, some of their habits, and from there you will be launching successful campaigns. On a commercial front, just to give as an example, João, normally every time that I don't know one specific niche, takes me about 9 months average to secure a sponsorship. At the FIVB, I have a track record of 8.5 months. We sign a sponsorship agreement with any category that we start to seek and then to perceive as an opportunity for us. But always starting with the cultural elements.
Good. That's great advice as well. Mario, Gabriel Liberati in Brazil is really enjoying the talk. Mamé Paulo says, muito bom, very good. Congratulations, Mario.
Thank you.
There is Pablo Rossetti. Hey, Pablo, saying hello from Mexico. Happy to see an AISTS alumni sharing his great experiences. And Otacílio says hi from Brazil as well. There's a good Brazilian crowd there, maybe because, both of us are from there. And Mario, you invested in formal education, and it is a big investment. It's over 20,000 Swiss francs for the tuition fee only, plus expenses to courses like the one that you did at AISTS. So how important was that formal education in your career?
Well, João, extremely important. I like to take one step back because the formal education does not count too much if you do not have your own personal experiences as well. Before enhancing into a more deep dive formal education, I would suggest people to take a backpacking trip. Go to places by yourself, explore different environments, put yourself into unorthodox cultures that you're not familiarized with. Try to see different perceptions and landscapes. All of this helps you to build your own character too, and prepares you to deep dive into a very international environment such as sports. The formal education comes along because you will sit in a master program with another 30, 40 colleagues that comes from everywhere. And all of this important experience, if you have the opportunity to go abroad and see, becomes part of a communication exchange, ideas exchange, feeling exchanges, and this connects people better. They are not there simply talking to you because of a job position or something that you can generate to them, but first they need to feel comfortable next to you. They would like to like your company first by the way that you are, not simply from what you can perform. So you see, always to me comes the individual and the history and the personality and what you have built and what you have gained as knowledge, which is different than intelligence in my perspective. So intelligence I treat separately from the knowledge that you acquire with your years of experience. And the formal education enhances this knowledge that you seek to prepare yourself for the normal tasks on the sports industry or the job that you seek to apply.
Good, great. And does that, you think, how much do you think that would increase someone's chance of actually getting a job in the industry?
Well, I believe, João, that increases drastically. Because by the time that you go to an interview and the interviewer can sense that you are prepared for adversities, that you are prepared for dealing with a multicultural event, that you are prepared of sharing ideas and thoughts, that you are prepared to explain yourself, not simply to a commercial partner or to your colleagues, but to the philosophy of the corporation that you want to apply for. One thing that is very relevant is that you identify the mission statement of the corporation that you would like with your personal values and the things that you would like to achieve. These combinations builds a strong candidate for the job positions. So do not feel afraid of exploring this and telling what you think that you are most capable of, and how you can actually contribute and enhance specific divisions of the corporations for the jobs that you apply. That's how I treat things in communication. Né? Open, express yourself, speak not simply from the heart, but also with the mind. Breathe, give oxygen so you can as well understand how to speak the message that you would like to address. If you do not know an answer, say that you don't know, but this gives you time to seek for the proper answer for the future. That's what I would recommend for people to engage more deeply into future job interviews too.
That's another great advice, Mario. If you guys are enjoying it, hit the like button there. It will be great. Let's show Mario some love. There's some more people from the AISTS watching you, Mario. So Kaushik is, I think, doing the course now. There is Bartolome, I think, from Poland. So world champions in
one of the best teams in the planet. They are outstanding. And most of all, the people are fantastic. Every time that we deliver an event in Poland, it's not simply fun, João, but it's a time to remember for friendship. That's what I think that it's the best. So I have here my son that is showing up, so I apologize to the crowd, but he's quite curious too with the TV show that we're having here today. Thank you.
Well, I mean, you're a family man.
Yes, 100%.
There you go. And Theo is a friend of iWorkinSport as well.
Yes.
Kaushik is that was there also mentioned here that they had Fernando Lima at the STS and been thanking you for your insights.
Outstanding. One of the most brilliant minds that I have ever had the opportunity to work with. Fernando Lima, the Secretary General of the FIVB, he comes with an extensive track record of TV deals. He was running programming for the major and the biggest television station of Brazil, and has a superb history to tell and to share with the sports community. So I am pleased that the AISTS had the opportunity to have Fernando in class.
I agree with everything that you said. We should have Luis Fernando. I'm already making the invitation for season 3 of iWorkinSport live interview. Mario, so Yuri Dominguez asked if there is an analytics department at FIVB.
Yes, we do, and we have a business strategy that runs our intelligence, that gives us numbers and provides us more data and input to address the questions that potential sponsors or commercial partners they seek within the FIVB. Nowadays, we at the FIVB, we have global references, but we also customize and tailor-made by specific nations or countries, depending on the landscape of interest of our partners.
Cool. Hello, Ali, from India at Triton Sport. Mario, professionally, so you have already many years in your professional career. What would you say was your biggest challenge? And maybe you can say what was your biggest achievement?
The biggest challenge, I think it was on a professional standpoint, was working at the Rio 2016 organizing committee for the Olympic Games for multiple reasons. First, it's because it was the first time that the games were brought to South America. Second, it's a large sporting event that required major expertise from a nation that was building this expertise of hosting international events. Third, get used to the mentalities and synergies between the International Olympic Committee and the Brazilian standpoint of doing business and performing. All of these alignments required some time, dedication, effort, But at the end of the day, I believe that we delivered an outstanding Olympic Games with a time to remember. Most of all, giving the true credit of one of the most important, I think, in my opinion, Olympic pillars, with this friendship. The country embraced the friendship value of hosting all nations with superb and diplomacy throughout the entire Olympic period. Migrating from this to the Paralympic Games, which is something that it's outstanding. The performance of the athletes, what they can accomplish, and the level of response of crowds too. Do not simply think about the Olympic Games, but if you are working at an organizing committee for the Olympics and Paralympic Games, you have two events taking place in a very close time frame, which requires different logistics, different communications. And this is an experience that I can tell you, to me, it was the most challenging one to get all of those engines running together.
In terms of achievement, what would you say?
Without a doubt, the record-breaking sponsorships that Rio 2016 could generate. And at the same time, more recently within the FIVB, the opportunity of having organizers for multi-year bids and starting bringing top-level tier sponsors from overseas to the FIVB. Funny enough, mentioning about this Prisma and landscape at the FIVB, the way that we communicate our message gave us the opportunity of having sponsors from Germany, France, Brazil, China, Japan. Think about the mix of different cultures in there. So it's quite interesting that our message is well received at the FIVB by multiple communities with different methodologies. So gives me the strength and the belief that with volleyball we are on the right track.
Great, Mario. So if you just joined the stream now, this interview, of course, we're talking with Mario Azevedo, Executive Commercial Director at FIVB, the International Volleyball Federation. This is an interactive session, so if you have questions, just post them in the comments and we'll try to address them, or at least as many as we can. Mario, so we talk about achievements and things that went right. If we talk about failures or setbacks, is there one that you would sort of highlight, something that's really kind of you think let you down and or disappointed you, and what was the learning that you got from that?
I think that on the commercial perspective, setbacks, once you have, it's sometimes the alignment of the expectation that you have if you don't conclude a business deal, for example. But besides that, if I can be more transparent and open, the business deal per se does not really mean too much if you do not have a proper team. So it's important that having the right tools and the right individuals, the right people to exchange ideas, thoughts, and open this more frequently, it's the most important outcome. And sometimes to build teams, it's not an easy task. That's what I sense, not simply from my professional background, dealing with multiple people, but also dealing with third-party enterprises or third-party entities related to any sort of business activities and endeavors.
Okay. Thank you, Mario. I just went back to a few questions here, and I see that there was an interesting question from Luca Passarotti in Italy. So how do you network during Corona times? What means would you recommend?
Most of the time it's digitally speaking, and if the occasion allows, a cup of coffee with the normal distance, we also do. But I'm taking more advantage of the technology at this Prisma. And one thing that it's important, giving here an opportunity to others to understand commercial perspectives. This is a moment where flexibility should speak. Do not try, and this is my advice, to simply flush down a package or a sponsorship opportunity, but listen first to the counterparts that you have at the companies that you talk, and adjust your message within their needs. Sometimes it's more localized, sometimes they have difficulties with payment schemes, sometimes they can give you a push with the products and services instead of simply the financial implications of cash contribution. So acting with flexibility in terms of COVID-19 has been proven to be quite responsive on the way of positioning your packages, your products, and your assets for future judgments of corporations.
Great, Mario. So Mario, you've been to several sports events in your career, working at them or just visiting, and of course you had the chance also to meet great stars of the sport. Do you have a favorite moment in sport? What is your favorite sporting moment that you lived? Or maybe
João, this is such a cool question because it gives me good memories. But if I have one specific moment that I could highlight, I would go back to 2009 Berlin World Athletics Championship. I was at the training session of the Jamaican team, and since I was in charge there of media and supporting some of the nations, I was seeing Usain Bolt at that time doing a warm-up session. And I asked a friend of mine to record me passing as a speeding bullet right through him as fast as I could. Remember, he was just jogging. And I passed as fast as I could. I waved my arms. He looked. He didn't understand. I said, I beat you, and this is recorded, register. So I have this fantastic moment that I am one of a few in this planet that had the chance to run and beat the fastest man on this planet nowadays.
If I knew that story before, I would have told you to bring that clip so we would show it. We would show it here.
This for our next occasion, João, for sure we can structure something like this. But if I go into a more collective way, was of course seeing some of the new events of the FIVB, the 2014 Volleyball World Championships opening ceremony in a football stadium in Warsaw for 70,000 people was something quite remarkable. The passion that we could feel from the crowd, it's something that I did not feel in other Olympic sports until to this stage. This is something that also got my attention. And on the football front, of course, that's seeing the World Cup final and in 2006 being behind the goal, where the penalty kicks were taking place, it is something that also is quite memorable.
Mario, a few more questions are coming in.
Please.
Frederick Farhat actually helped us as well with our campaigns a couple of weeks ago for the Education Virtual Expo. Hi, Freddie. Well, you covered that a little, but maybe just very shortly we can address that again. Mario, with the damages caused by the sports industry due to the pandemic, what are the challenges and difficulties you face in securing new sponsorship deals, or holding the current ones?
Well, thank you, Frederick, for the question. The first challenge that we need as a sporting organization is to secure the calendar. I cannot perform simply secure the calendar. So the events need to be taking place. Additionally to this, for business to consumer companies, it's important that the fans, they also have access to that. So this is one difficulty and one challenge that we do not know yet if we will be able to have fans back into the stands. One exercise that you can do now is yesterday, NBA announcing that 2021 All-Star game that was going to be taking place in Indianapolis is now pushed back to 2024. So they are taking all of this long road until fans, they can actually go back. How they would structure in a near future All-Star games without the crowd the next year, I don't really know. But this is the main challenger. And securing current sponsors, remember, flexibility having a substantial development of a digital ecosystem, way to interact with your fans and generate a fan engagement. It's not simply followers or a like, it's actually a way of them bringing the discussion to their digital channels as well. So this is what I would recommend to enhance at this specific stage. And remember, partners, they are on board. They are suffering as well, but they also support. At the FIVB, we did not have one drop down of sponsorship engagements. As a matter of fact, all of them wanted to sign extended agreements and addendums with the FIVB to continue the partnership, understanding the moment that we have.
That's great news. I don't think that has been the same all over the place for other federations. They struggled a lot. And how did you? So how has that conversation with sponsors have been? Because I suppose that a lot of what they sort of pay for is the sort of the hospitality experience, being, as you said, to the event and bringing clients and doing all that. And when you don't have that to offer, how is that conversation with the sponsor then?
Well, we are going to still grant them the same marketing rights grid that they have acquired through the sponsorship package, but at the FIVB, we have a brilliant now team of digital, and we are getting now more digital activation ideas and concepts. The FIVB is truly acting, João, as we speak, as a digital agency, supporting the needs of all of our sponsors. So we have individual conversations, we learn more about the sponsors' digital goals to achieve, and we incorporate this with the resources of the FIVB to distribute their global message campaigns with our platforms, the volleyball world and all of our social media channels that we engage with our fans. So this is something that has been proving quite successful at the FIVB at this stage.
That's great, Mario. Congratulations to you and to the FIVB team responsible for that. So I want to remind everyone that we are approaching the end of the interview. So if you do have a question for Mario, it's kind of now or never. Do that.
No, João, I'm sorry. They can send me questions later too. You can share with the community my professional contacts.
If you want them answered now, live, this is your chance. Yeah. Otherwise, you will be able to find Mario on LinkedIn or somewhere else, and then he will maybe answer some of your questions. If you're enjoying his interview, hit the like button there. That would be super appreciated. Yuri is participating a lot today. That's great, Yuri. Some good questions. Yuri Dominguez in Brazil. In fact, I think you covered some of that. He's asking about what would you recommend to someone with no sports background but wish to follow your path. You mentioned volunteering. You took masters in sport. That many people actually that take the AISTS are former athletes or have a background in sports or other courses. We had the SBS friends here, the FIFA Masters, the Johan Cruyff. But some of them come without any sporting background, right? That was actually my case. So I didn't work in sport before when I came to do a Masters. But apart from that, what else can you tell Yuri?
Well, João, please remember that the sport industry, it's not simply former sportsmen that it's working in there or people that used to be performing in sports. We count with a solid and extensive range of professional firsts. So it's important, I think, for Yuri to identify, as I spoke before, what you like the most. And once you did the volunteering or you start understanding different functional areas within the organization of an event, this helps you to scope better the ability of the services that you can provide and serve and things that make you happy. Please remember, acting at the sport industry is also about fun. If you do not have a good smile, a good intention, a positive attitude, this is not the field for you. So I would suggest that you first enhance and focus on the professional background that you would like to build for you as an individual, as a person.
Yeah, that's good advice. That was actually an advice also given by Daniel G. a few interviews back, where he would actually recommend that you go start, out of sports, depending on the field that you want to follow, get some experience there, and that will be very much appreciated by the sports industry. So that's a good point.
And it's important, Ron, because the sports industry also seeks exchanging ideas with non-sporting entities. So if you come from an entertainment industry, if you come from finance, from banking, all of those different skills, remember, build a better product, not simply to commercialize, but also to fans.
That's great. So we had the message here from Hassan Baraka saying hi, hello Hassan, thanks for leaving the message there. Mateo Eisner wants to know if there are internships in the commercial area at FIVB.
At the FIVB, always when we have internships opportunities. With the current standpoint that we face at the COVID-19, we have those applications at this moment suspended. But we always seek the bright young minds, and we give opportunities to everybody. As we speak, for example, I personally have helped to bring on board AISTS students to the FIVB family, and other departments and divisions also seek for brilliant talents from not simply the local community, but worldwide. Please remember, at the FIVB, we are a little bit over 60 employees, but out of 23 different nationalities. So it's quite a multicultural event, giving chance and opportunity to everybody, especially because we deliver our events on a global scale. It's not localized. If I go by the annual events, such as Volleyball Nations League, we play out of 23 different territories in 4 months period of time. So we need those diversity as well to help us deliver the best event to our fans.
Yeah. That's great, Mario. Just so you know, so Mateo, who you answered to, is from Colombia and is doing the ESBS Masters. Mm-hmm. Himanshu Arora also helped us out in the project a few weeks back. Finds all that very informative. Mario, I think we're going to be ending here. I do have to do a draw, so I want you to stick there for a moment. Also, let's see if I remember this time when I come back, because last week I almost forgot. So when I asked Samson that, think of maybe a book that you'd like to recommend, sort of a YouTube channel or something. If you have some good recommendations to give to people that are watching us when we come back, we'll do that last. I'm going to put you in the background now, because I'm going to do a draw now of free tickets for the iWorkinSport virtual job fair, or virtual job fairs next year. So 1 second, Milo, stay with us. Don't go anywhere. So everyone, if you were waiting for this, today I found a different website to do that same thing. We inserted here about 1,400 names of people that attended the iWorkinSport Educational Virtual Expo a couple of weeks ago. Well, the way it works is I will just press a button here, and that will generate a name randomly, and that will be the person that will win the 2 free tickets worth 500 euros to the 2 virtual job fairs that we'll have next year. So let's see if we're luckier this time. Claudio Lopez attended the event 2 weeks ago. We have your email address, of course, so we will get in touch with you. Congratulations, you're the winner of the draw. Mario, we have you back. Before we go there is an interesting question here from, where is that? There's some, Omar Adi. He sees 2 Brazilians in the panel and is asking, how we Brazilians saw Maradona. I think that's whoever loves football, had the most appreciation for him. I mean, great talent, and it's sad. It's really sad. I'm just thinking of Garrincha now, an older Brazilian star that was very poetic in on the pitch as well. Big, dribbler, would make people laugh with everything that he did on the pitch. Kind of had a tragic death because of alcohol as well. So I don't know. What would you say?
I believe, João, that I'm grateful that we have images to keep remembering the fantastic moments that those individuals they brought to us. It's not simply Maradona. Maradona, it's a fantastic case for not simply the country Argentina and for the Argentinian fans, but also the Brazilians and the football lovers. The same prisma once you think about athletes such as Kobe Bryant that recently passed away, or if you think about major achievements such as Jesse Owens when passed away too, and everything that he represents for the Olympic movement. So all of those individuals with the expertise of the sport community to capture those moments, I think that remains in our memories and our hearts forever. So I have Maradona with deepest respect, and keeping in mind those crucial moments of La Mano de Dios.
I'm wearing these colors today.
Yes.
Anyway, I asked you, so there is another message here from also Lavinia Faleza. Thank you for sharing your experience, Mario. Thank you, Lavinia, for being with us and all the support throughout the past weeks. Mario, any last sort of recommendations that you would like to leave that's to everyone that is watching us now?
Well, João, you asked me a question about a book or a reference. If you go for a book, I would suggest The Olympic Turnaround from Michael Payne. That was a true experience about the Olympic movement, sponsorship, commercial perspectives. This is an outstanding book. This is about history and good storytelling as well. And an additional one that I always give to people is www.booking.com. It's not a sponsored ad, but place yourself a plane ticket, go someplace else, and explore different locations. This is the best book that you can read for yourself, your own experience. So book now anything and go someplace when time allows, or if time does not allow flying, go walking, by bike, ride a donkey, choose a location that you have never been, and put this in your personal life, in your book life. Thank you, João.
Our friend Marcelo Ortiz agrees completely, 100% with you. And here's a message from Patrick Castro, always inspirational. Thank you, Patrick. Oh, by the way, don't forget, there's a link for Patrick's campaign in the description of the video on YouTube for the Movember campaign. There's a reason for this. So I hope that's not in vain. Let's help him out, and let's help the campaign out as well. Guys, it's been fantastic. I hope that you guys appreciated as much as I did. It was great to have you participating with us, with Mario and I. I tell Mario that the best questions come from the audience. So it's great to have you participating. We're going to have a great one next week as well. Already confirmed, but I'm going to keep that as a little secret, as we're going to announce it on. Well, actually, it's already published, so probably it's already showing on our YouTube channel. So we're going to have Marcus Luer from Total Sports Asia with us next week. So stay tuned, and I hope to see everyone there then. Mario, thanks a lot, everybody. It was great to have you here.
Thank you, João, and thank you for everybody. And please to continue the conversation on LinkedIn to all of this iWorkinSport community.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.